Oh, Pia said she coming to revival.
Good.
She coming to the revival. Ba-da-dum, ba-dum, tragedies. Good after, what time is it? Good afternoon, everybody. It is 4 minutes after 2 o'clock on an overcast Wednesday. I don't have our in-house meteorologist, that's Delton. He would go outside and put his thumb in his mouth and put it outside and tell you what the temperature is. But he's off today. This is a holiday. Majority rule. Wednesday. Majority rule. Boy, if this was another week, we could have talked to Devad about majority rule. We know we have something to say about that. There was a service this morning. Did you go to the service this morning, Devad?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
We're in revival mode.
Devad, you didn't go to the majority rule service?
No. I would have been there had it not been this week, but you know, I could. I decided I wanted to chill. I'm with the doctor. And
You're the doctor.
Absolutely, I need that impartation.
I hear you. I hear. So this is Reverend Devad today.
Absolutely.
This is Reverend Devad.
Apostle.
This is this is not Lawyer Devad.
No, this ain't Attorney Devad.
This is Attorney Devad. This is the MC of the PLP. Rallies.
Absolutely not.
This is him.
Yeah, that old Devad didn't die.
He died?
He died.
Devad, be careful what you say. Devad, be careful what you say.
Devad will not MC no rallies to the PLP no more.
Hold on. I may run. Hold on.
I may run.
Hold on. I need to press record. Give me a second. I need to press record. I need to capture this. I didn't press record. Let me make sure I get this on. Because I just heard Devad Francis, Mr. PLP himself, just said that he will not MC another political rally.
Listen, I haven't changed my political persuasion. I'm still who I am.
Right.
I'm still a PLP, but that part of me.
Dr. Brian put that around the world.
Absolutely.
You right? That's all around the world now.
But that was the last time I'm not MCing anymore. I may run if the Church of God allows me to.
I think you run it then.
If the Church of God allows me to,
yeah.
I may run. But for right now, I'm not interested.
It's
in
interesting to have this kind of conversation with the person sitting to your left.
Oh yeah,
very interesting.
Absolutely.
Because I can remember that person was talking about running for political office.
At one point, yeah.
Actually, I don't know how much. I don't know even know how much we swallow him.
The first time,
we is, baby.
Exactly.
I don't know how much he knows how much we is swallowing.
I hope you don't think I'm a stalker because I was telling them all about every YouTube clip I watch. but no. The first time I heard him was actually at the NAACP conference that we went to. At the time, the lady took us on a trip. Maya Angelou. Mm-hmm. She took us on a trip, and man, first time I heard
Maya Angelou took you on a trip.
Maya Angelou
took you on a trip.
Well, no, not. It was a group of us. And we went, I think it was somewhere in Florida, I can't remember exactly where. And I was waiting there. He was one of the keynote speakers. And man, this fella bought the house down on Black empowerment.
Was he talking Jesus or he talking empowerment?
Listen, he is just as good, as great as he is at preaching when his mouth is open on Black empowerment, on Black history, on where the Black church and the Black people should be right now.
Right.
I even think that's he has an awesome gift in that. But yeah.
So
man.
That part
absolutely.
Of it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I got introduced to him. I was in school in North Carolina, at North Carolina A&T, and he was on NBC.
Wow.
I don't know if they're still open.
No.
They're not?
No.
You shut them down.
I shut it down.
He was on NBC, and every Sunday night, I would sit down and watch this young dude, on NBC with big black bow ties, polka dot bow ties.
What is NBC?
The Minority Black Channel something.
There you go. Something.
Minority Black Cable.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I was watching this dude in a high school auditorium, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was Magic Johnson's network.
Right.
Yes,
that's right.
Magic Johnson and Jermaine Jackson.
That's right.
Wow.
So I was watching this preacher dude, young dude, that's the hardest dude out there. He's the hardest guy out there now.
Mm-hmm.
Preach black man. Mm-hmm. That was the line.
Yes,
that was the line. Everybody that stole that line. I'm glad you dropped it because it's they didn't steal it.
They kill it.
They kill it. Yeah. Thanks, man. it was getting played out. But yeah, that's that. He brought up the preach black man.
Yeah.
In that high school auditorium there, and just it was loaded with just a whole lot of like a lot of college students. That's the audience looked like from what we saw.
Yep.
You know, and that would have been for me. That was around about 2002.
That's correct.
When did you start?
I started in my living room with about 43 people, and then we went to Coppin State College where you started watching us on television.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you 43 people.
Yeah.
Where did those 43 come from? How did you do
People
that?
who I grew up with, people who I was raised with, people who I went to high school with, and we started really just as a Bible study.
Uh-huh.
I had no intentions of ever pastoring a church.
Right.
And God redirected everything.
Wow. Wow. What direction were you going in? Were you going political?
Oh, absolutely. I was looking at really spending the rest of my life with the NAACP.
Right.
And God redirected my course.
I'm gonna jump right in it. We didn't even introduce him officially,
Yes.
but I mean those who are listening on Glow 93.9, those who are on TuneIn Radio, if you are on Facebook Live, we are here with the doctor himself, Dr. Jamal Bryant, Jamal Harrison Bryant.
That's me.
Is that a preacher doctorate or that's a real doctorate?
No, sir. I've a doctorate from Oxford University.
From Oxford?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
Master's in philosophy.
In philosophy?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Master's is from Duke in North Carolina, and a bachelor's from Morehouse.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. So this is not a preacher doctorate because we have a lot of preacher doctorates.
Absolutely.
And a whole lot of preacher bishops.
Both, all kind.
Yes.
All kind. No, but I mean, bishops is stale now.
Yeah.
It's about apostles now. You know.
I'm an ambassador.
You're about.
I want to be prime minister of the gospel.
I love it. Oh, I love
We
it.
should have a ceremony while I'm here.
Let's do it. This is the right place to do it.
This is the right place to do it.
you be legit.
Absolutely.
If you do it here, you be legit.
Absolutely.
You do it here, you legit, definitely. So that's how was that turn for you? How was that shift for you? How old were you at that time?
At what time?
When you made that shift from that arena into ministry?
28.
You're 28.
Yes.
Oh wow.
I was 28, and the reason why this country is so sacred for me is I was sharing with you all's version of Johnny Cochran. I was sharing with the attorney at lunch today that I will always call this as a second home.
Oh, wow.
Because I was National Youth Director at the NAACP, and we were having a revival in our city, and one Bishop Neil Ellis came to preach.
Okay.
I'd never met him. I'd never heard of him
Right.
a day in my life.
Right.
And we had dinner in the back, much like how you and I had dinner 2 years ago.
Right.
And he looked at me and said, "What do you do?" I said, "I'm an advocate for the NAACP." And Bishop Ellis said to me, "You are out of order. The call on your life is to pastor. Leave there and go find the church."
Did you preach that night?
No, he preached that night. He didn't know nothing about me.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I'm appreciative for the oil that's on his life. One voice can change your whole life.
That is crazy.
One conversation can redirect your entire path.
Pastor Delton said he was at that service. He just said, I was there at that service.
He was
Pastor
there.
Delton Ellis, yeah.
He was there.
So, I mean, now you said it like that, and that's crazy for me.
Yes.
That you would hear that word. What about it in Jamal? This is a doctor, this is a Rev, this is
Yes.
Jamal.
Yes.
What about Jamal would receive a word like that and just move?
It
What is that?
It came a confirmation from the Holy Spirit. What is amazing when you look at Mary that went to go see Elizabeth, she never prophesied to her. All she did, according to the scripture, was greet her.
Yeah.
And when she greeted her, her belly leaped. Is that when you're in divine alignment with the right people,
Wow.
in the right position,
Yeah.
everything inside of you is going to connect to
Wow. Wow. That's potent right
That's
there.
good.
Yeah.
That is potent right there. And you're the son of a preacher's son.
I'm a third generation preacher. My father was the presiding bishop of the AME Church.
Yeah.
My grandfather was a bishop in the AME Church. and my great grandfather was state moderator for state of South Carolina in the Baptist Convention.
Okay. Wow.
So I'm fourth generation.
Wow. Well, I'm not liking this. My wife just says she's loving that voice. I don't.
Listen,
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, Rod. I ain't like
tell your wife thank you.
She said that voice though. I mean, hold on, Robin. Hold on. I'm gonna press mute in a second. But that and I know I don't have you long, so I want to just try to get as much out of you as possible before I get you at the door. That conversation we started with Devon a second ago, and Devon talking about wanting to run for political office.
Yes.
And we know that you started down that road.
Yes.
And I think I saw one of the clips that your church kind of wanted their pastor.
Yes.
If I'm right about it.
Yes.
Your church, we want our pastor.
Yes.
How there are many that are in tension right now in this administration of our government. There are about 7 or 8 preachers in there, 5 or 6 senior pastors.
Yes.
And many still struggle with that. Many in the, I don't want to say kingdom, many in the church still struggle with that. Reconcile that for us.
You can reconcile, as Shakespeare said, to thine own self be true.
Yeah.
Is my wrestling is living in a bipolar existence of how do you hear from heaven and then have to traffic in the earth, is having a local assignment with a global call. And so I had to really wrestle through so that my church would never feel like they're my mistress. But that my church is my priority ministry.
Yeah.
And so I had to make a real commitment that pastoring is not what I do on the side or what I do in my free time.
Right.
But it is the raison d'etre of my entire being.
Wow.
And so when I shifted from realizing I am not an evangelist with a headquarters, but I am a pastor. So my first line of responsibility is the pastorate. And so I had to really re-synergize what is my focus of home.
Yeah.
To have that level, Denzel, to have that level of disconnect would be reflection to the failure of my marriage. Is that if, in fact, I don't see home as a place of stability, and I take on the John Wesley philosophy that the world is my parish, then I get to home when I feel like it.
Yeah.
So life puts you in a place where you really got to recalibrate what is your priority. God said to Adam, I give you dominion over creeping things, crawling things, flying things. But he never gave him an apostolic mandate on how to pastor Eve. So the reality is that Eve falls off because Adam has a mega church of one member and never does appropriate discipleship. So when Satan comes into the garden, he asks, did God really say you can't eat of the fruit? And she could not answer affirmatively because Adam never pastored home. So she was able to backslide with a snake.
Wow.
Because her husband, who was the pastor, was busy having dominion over snakes and giraffes, that he forgot that Eve was the first priority.
You tell me now, the reason for us being where we are now is failed leadership.
Yes.
A failed pastor.
Absolutely. See, we have misappropriated through a misogynistic, paternal worldview that Eve is at fault for the fall of man.
Okay.
It is not. Adam is at fault for the fall of man.
Right.
Because Satan doesn't have the authority to make declarations. He can only ask questions.
Yeah.
So every time he speaks, he raises a question. And when he raised that question to Eve, Eve is not in a place of spiritual security to respond, no, I can't eat of it. Because Adam never translated. The other part of that is we have no evidence of God ever speaking directly to Eve. So Adam never gave Eve a prayer life. How do I communicate with God when my pastor's not around?
Wow.
How am I able to have divine relationship if my shepherd happens to be on the radio?
What type of church tonight?
But listen, you mind if I go bring it up, B3 Hammond? I know that.
Listen, Devon, give me a second. I know you paid for this time for revival. Just give me a second. Give me a second.
I'm here with you, sir.
I was looking at something yesterday.
Yes.
Just in study time. and how the people, after Moses was up in the mountain,
Yes.
and the people said, "Oh man, he's gone. He been gone for a little bit. God didn't kill him. God didn't take him. We in trouble." And they go to Aaron and say to Aaron, "Now listen, Moses is gone. What we gonna do? We need something." And Aaron says, "Bring your stuff, bring your gold and your earrings, take them out." And the Bible says that Aaron was the one who fashioned this calf. He was the one that created this calf. And the people began to say, "This is the God that brought us out of Egypt.
Yes.
This is the God right here."
Yes.
Aaron then panicked
Yes.
and then built an altar and tried to clean the whole thing up. And what came to me, and I just a thought, and I want to hear your mind on this, that we see that Moses didn't do a good job of pouring into his right hand, which was Aaron.
Right.
Wow.
That we see a lack of relationship between the same thing you mentioned just now with Adam and Eve, with
Yes.
Eve's connection to God.
Yes.
Like somehow, is Moses culpable in Aaron's failure? That's the question I want to ask.
Here is the problem that we have, is that the associate ministers are failing and are dropping the ball simply because, attorney, pastors are pouring now into their armor bearers than they are into their sons. And so you get training.
Come on, man.
You get trained on how to pour water and help me get my car out
Right,
and put my jacket on.
right.
But while your sons and daughters in ministry never learn how to exegete the text, never learn how to love the people,
Wow.
never learn how to run a meeting.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you saw in the last 20 years a culture of servants, not a culture of successors.
Wow.
And so this next generation that's coming up learn how to be an assistant to the bishop, to the apostle,
Yeah.
to the pastor,
Yeah.
but never were groomed on how to take his place.
Right.
When you look at the story of Elijah and Elisha, is that what is amazing is why Elisha got in that place. Why is he stalking Elijah when there is, Denzel, a school of the prophets? I argue to my preachers that he didn't have money for tuition. So he's trying to audit the class.
Right, right.
And the one who is auditing the class is the one that's most faithful.
Yes.
You never send the students away from Gilgal, is the one that's hanging on.
Yeah.
And here is the failure of Elijah that nobody preaches on.
Talking.
Elisha asked for the mantle, and rather than Elijah giving it to him, he threw it. So what happens when you're under somebody who doesn't want you to pass them? What happens to somebody who sees your gift but is threatened by your potential, is unnerved by your creativity? So rather than give to the one that has the oil, I'll give to the one that got my last name. And a lot of our churches are dying from a demon called nepotism.
Yes.
That we try to further out the church or the ministry or the organization or the business or the law firm because you're related but you're not connected.
Yeah.
And so what God is looking for, where is the divine connection, even if it doesn't come out of your gene pool?
But you know, there's the argument that Jamal Jr. is going to get the oil directly.
Yes.
That's the argument. The argument is Jamal Jr.
Yes.
grew up in Jamal Sr.'s house.
Yes.
And so he is obviously the heir apparent because he gets the oil directly.
Yeah.
That's the argument you hear a lot of times.
Yes, but then the argument then is, what then do we do with the one that's in the backyard on the John Deere lawnmower?
Yeah.
And when it is that the prophet came and said, the next one is in this house.
Yeah.
And he tries to pour the oil, but it won't flow.
Yeah.
So the one that you try to mess up or dismiss is the one that does. Let's not forget that the line of priesthood is named after the priest that was irresponsible.
Yeah.
Why am you and I, Denzel, why we come out of the line of a man that built a gold god?
Yeah.
That should be the last one. Why does Jesus give the church over to the one that cusses?
Yeah.
So the one who is going to succeed, excel, and do well is not the one that has the coat of shellac, but the one that has torn up boards.
Wow. This is so heavy right here, man. What do we say then? What does Dr. Jamal say to young Denzel, who's a young pastor celebrating 8 years in 2 weeks?
Yes.
What do you say to pastors like myself, like Devad and others, that there's so many on here now that are tuned in, that for many of us,
Mhm.
and I say us so I don't separate myself. We are defined by this function.
Yes.
We allow function to define us. And I believe that's one of the reasons that we hold it so tight,
Yes.
because we don't see existence outside of this function.
Right.
And so we hold it and choke it until we kill it, really.
Yes.
What do you say to those?
I started my church at 28
Yeah.
and told my officers that I'm retiring at 55 because I understand what is the lifeline of my relevance, is that I am called to pastor. I am not led to die as a pastor. And I have other giftings that I can do. The thing that a lot of young preachers are missing is that they are being raised on YouTube. You can't learn how to play football by watching the highlight clips. You got to learn how to do the drills.
Right.
And so now all of this generation of preachers know how to close a sermon, but don't know how to build one.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying? So if you're just watching me or watching Furtick or watching Jakes,
Yeah.
always showing you in that 28, 30 seconds is the highlight footage, but not what is the real sweat and the blood and the gore of what it means. A young preacher came to me. I was lecturing at a seminary a month ago, and he says, "Man, I want to be like you when I grow up."
Yeah.
About 25 years old. I said, "You want to be like me?" He said, "Yeah, man, that's my prayer. I want God to help me to be like you." I said, "You want to be like me and lose your wife? You want to be like me and have people you never met claim you stalked them? You want to be like me and people, in fact, make your words go viral by taking one line of a sermon out of context? You want to be like me and be vilified by people who have never taken the moment to meet you? You sure? You want to be like me, being up front and still having to contest with IRS audits and they can't find anything and leave the case open, hoping that they're going to find something?
Yeah.
You want to be like me when the president says he got a dossier of everything you've ever done because he sees you as a threat to disrupting the black culture and raising up against his administration? This is what you want? See, a lot of times we put a colored filter on the picture of what success is.
Right.
John Fitzgerald Kennedy said, if you want to see a great success, look for a great failure first.
Wow.
Because anybody who has succeeded has had a tremendous failure.
Yeah.
And a lot of times in church, we only show the victories and never know how to really rally around the tragedies.
Right. Right. Your candor with regard to your failed marriage.
Yes.
It's scary and uncomfortable for the church.
Yes.
Because you should not be that candid about it.
Yeah.
You should pretend as though it didn't happen, like we didn't know it, like we all didn't know it happened.
Yes.
But you are so candid, so open with this.
Yes.
How is it that you maintain that? Because to some would say, it seems as though he's celebrating his divorce. It seems as though he's celebrating his failed marriage.
Yeah.
Because we don't know that. The
Yes.
church doesn't know that.
Yeah.
We don't talk about that element. We don't bring that up. How is it that Jamal is at this place with regard to? Because this is a Jamal issue here. To be
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Because Jamal is being candid, let you know I'm still Jamal.
Right.
I'm the doctor. I'm the man of God. I'm the ambassador, the chief apostle.
Yeah.
But I'm still Jamal. Talk to us about that. Help us to understand that whole, not what happened,
Yes.
but how is it that you are where you are now and so candid about it?
I pastor in the anthropology of a generation that watches reality television.
Yeah.
So the people who are coming to hear me preach in the arena, the auditorium, watch Love and Hip Hop.
Yeah.
They watch the Real Housewives of Atlanta. They watch New York. They watch Black Ink.
Yeah.
So if they can get reality on television, why do we give them a mirage at church? So if in fact this is public fodder, that you know that I am divorced, there's no reason for me to fake and pretend or tap dance around it. Because the millennial generation would look at it as disingenuous.
Yeah.
You have to look at really what is the real authenticity of the transparency of the gospel.
Yeah.
Is that the blood covers you in your flaws,
Yeah.
not in your perfection. And the reason why a whole generation has stopped coming to church is that pastors get behind the pulpit and make it a witness protection program and act like they have no temptation.
Yeah.
They have no brokenness. They have no flaws.
Yeah.
So when I went through my divorce, I couldn't get up and say the devil made me do it.
Right.
Or I was tempted by
It wasn't
Jezebel.
the devil. The devil didn't
No.
end your marriage.
No.
I thought it was the devil. That's the talk. Whatever goes wrong, it's the devil.
And the saints take no accountability.
We didn't do that. The devil did it.
What is amazing about Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived, is that his prayer was not to preach on TBN, was not to drive a Maybach, was not to live in a gated community. He said, "Give me wisdom." And the reality is that we never hear the body of Christ pray for wisdom.
Right.
We shout to be debt free.
Yes.
We shout to be millionaires.
Yeah.
And at some point, we've got to get to a place of where does my integrity and my ethics come out?
Yeah.
John Maxwell wrote a book some years ago called Talent is Not Enough. Is that there's got to be such a missing integer called character.
Yeah.
Is that so many times we sweep through people with broken characters because they can perform. So it don't matter what kind of raggedy life you live, as long as you can make my choir sing.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you did after church, as long as you can come to my meeting and raise money.
Right.
And now you're looking for an hour of people who are saying, I don't care whether you can raise money. I don't care whether you got on Louis Vuitton or got on St. John.
Right.
Are you living that life?
Wow.
And that's with this generation. The previous generation fell in love with the image.
Yeah.
But this generation wants an integrity that they don't practice.
Wow. Wow. Did the church take your marriage?
No.
Church didn't do it.
No.
That's what is said so many times when these, especially with pastors whose marriages.
Yes.
The church.
No.
The church did it.
No, the church doesn't take marriages. People take marriages.
The church doesn't take marriages.
No. Absolutely
The
not.
church doesn't kill families.
No.
That's the talk. Have you heard that talk?
Yep.
Devon? That's the talk, and that destroyed. That's something to me. The church took my family. How did the church take your family?
Church doesn't take families. It doesn't take marriages. It is understanding.
Wow.
And they don't come to church because they resent the church. So they don't want to be involved. They don't want to be a part. And so you got to make sure, am I pastoring your two kids?
Yeah.
I came in and you were in the back getting ready.
Yeah.
But your kids don't resent this radio station.
Right.
They don't resent the radio station because you've made them a part of it.
Sure.
I always shudder at how it is that we've made our children an accessory and not the garment. I was preaching in Kenya about 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's a stadium, Denzel's, has to be 40, 50,000 people.
Yeah.
And they had an African bishop who was lecturing before I preached. We're in a stadium with 50,000 people.
Yeah.
And they're introducing him to lecture before I get up to preach.
Uh-huh.
And they say, Bishop so-and-so, his son is the head of the neurological clinic in Sweden. His daughter is a nurse at so-and-so. His other son is a chemical engineer. So I leaned over to the preacher next to me and said, oh, he must not have gone to school if they talking about his kids. He said, oh, no, he went to school. He went to Edinburgh in Scotland. So I said, oh, he must not have that big of a church if they just talking about his kids. Says, no, he's got a church of about 15,000 members. So I said, why are they talking about his children and not him? Mm-hmm. And he said, here, Pastor, in Africa, we call our pastors Papa. And the evidence of your ministry is your children.
Wow.
And I shudder to think, what if we took that same blueprint to the States? And before you preached, we had to give a report on what your children are doing.
Wow. Wow.
How many preachers wouldn't be able to stand?
Wow.
Because we had to give the report on the state of your house as the evidence of your ministry.
Oh, my goodness.
And it helped me really recalibrate where it is that I am as a father, as a man, as a caregiver, as a protector, that there's some other things that I've got to do.
Right. Going forward now, I mean, with the prestige, with the platform that you have.
Yes.
How does Jamal function? We know how the pastor does. We can see that. How does Jamal function? How does Jamal? I mean, you have this wealth of knowledge and wisdom that you've gleaned, that experience in Africa, and all these things you're talking about. Now, how do you take care of Jamal in the midst of all of this?
It is, I realized that I fail, as many pastors do, in self-care.
Okay.
What the Apostolic Pentecostal Charismatic Church failed to teach us is that you can have the Holy Ghost and be unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody ever told you
No.
that you can be saved and dissatisfied.
Right.
And so where is that balance of finding out what do I like to do when I'm not a pastor,
Yeah.
but who I am as a man,
Right.
who I am as a human. We talked about failed marriages and
Yeah.
failed churches and failed families.
Yeah.
A whole lot of preachers got married for the church.
Yeah.
So they got married for somebody who they thought was good for ministry,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't want to go home to them.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
And so I got to make sure that I am in a place where I have holistic health in every area of my life. So I do kickboxing. I go to the movies. I read.
You kickboxing?
Oh, absolutely. That's why I laughed at our conversation when I walked in here. We're not gonna go into that now.
No, let's leave it alone.
Yeah. But I travel. I make sure I visit a different country every year, not to preach, but just to be able to be at peace and to explore and to have different experiences. So you've got to be intentional about what it is that you do and how it is that you do that.
How do you date?
Lord, you killing me on. Are we live right now?
Yeah.
Dead live. We dead live. Oxymoronic.
So excuse me.
We dead live.
Excuse me, Pastor Brian, as your lawyer. As you behave me lawyer.
Yes, my
You wanna
lawyer
actually
is
take the
now
fifth
speaking.
on
You
that
want to plead
place?
the fifth?
Yeah, I want you to plead the fifth on that place.
Yes. No.
I'm only joking.
Let me speak to it directly. Is that here is the misnomer of the church.
Yeah.
Is the church always pushes marriage, but never pushes dating,
Yeah.
never pushes courtship. And so the church is a sanctified match.com. So if, a saved, good-looking, drug-free man walks through the church, then immediately they tapping all the sisters
So
around and says,
that's yours
"Go
then.
get them." But I think that there's got to be a place of saying
Yeah.
it's okay when it don't work.
Yeah.
You're not penalized because it's not a love connection or it's not eternal. Bishop Jakes taught me years ago, don't let your weakness become wickedness. Just because you're not strong in an area, don't find strength in that and say, "Oh, it's just what I do." No.
Take that very far.
Yeah, but you have to
that's
be
so good.
able to be discriminating about what it is that you like and what it is that you want.
Yeah.
And it's got to be able to match all of the different variables of your life. Anybody who is anointed is complex.
Yeah.
And if you are complex, you'll be irritated by somebody that's simple.
Yeah.
Really.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
if in
That's
fact there are
true.
layers to who
That's
it is
true.
that you are,
Yeah.
somebody who is simple will never understand you.
So it's a lie that opposites attract. That's a myth.
It is. Your wife, Robin,
Yeah.
would be able to, and I don't think I've met Robin.
You have it.
Robin would be able to say, with me having no conversation with her, that there are days that you don't want to say nothing.
Right.
And you're not mad.
Right.
You ain't going through nothing.
Sure.
You don't even know what you're thinking about.
Right.
But you just don't want to be bothered.
Yeah.
But Robin, how many years you been married? 12.
12 this year.
Has the sensitivity to know, let me leave Denzel alone.
Yeah.
And this is an unspoken rule in the
Yes,
house.
yes.
So while it is that you going through this deep introspection, she's not saying to your two kids, don't talk to daddy, he going through something.
Right.
But she's guarding them from that room.
Right.
She's
That's right.
redirecting
That's
them in a different place. But she's got to have the spiritual sensitivity to say, to be in tune. The other part of Robin's responsibility is Robin has to understand there are days that you come home that Denzel don't want to be pastor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a few.
Yeah, there's some days Denzel come home and want to be sweet daddy.
Yeah.
So when sweet daddy come home, She not playing Amazing Grace.
Right.
You got,
Right.
but she's got to be able to understand the different variables of who you are and minister to that. The third part is nobody gives the partner of a pastor the right amount of credos to recognize where is their tow truck for tow trucks. All right. So you pulling everybody else, but who gonna pull you?
Yeah. Wow.
So her ministry is greater than yours.
Yes.
Because she's got to be able to encourage you in areas of depression, and when you climb into that black hole that other people can't see and don't know, and regrettably, all of her years of ministering to you, she can never give a praise report.
That's good.
Yeah.
My wife has offered me. She just typed this.
Yeah, tell her bring it. Tell her bring my offering right now. Bring it to the front desk of the hotel. I'll take it.
She got an offer for it.
Yes, I'll take it. Thank you.
That is potent, man. Devon, you had just loving this right now.
Yeah, no, this is great, man. No, you know, usually in most of my circles, and
Dr. Miles Butler says you need to find another service.
yeah,
That's what Dr. Miles says.
and so when Dr. Bryant begins to talk, now I get to a place of discomfort because he right now I run in third place with you and him.
Nah,
Right there, but I just want to say we're here. We invite everyone to come out to listen to Dr. Bryant. He's going to bring it. He is preaching on Thursday night, which is tomorrow night.
Right.
Tonight we have Apostle Leon Wallace, who would be opening up for us.
Yeah.
Our psalmist for the night is Bishop William Murphy. We also have the Voice of Deliverance Mass Choir.
You got to have them.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to be possible to have them.
Absolutely. We want to send a shout out to our conference host, who is our bishop, Bishop Moses Johnson. So before I get fired, let me start out by laying that particular platform. And so we're gonna have it.
I like how you did this. You know, we were talking all that.
Yeah, I won't get to revival.
And you just like, hold on.
It's a redirect. It's a redirect.
You did it so smooth, man.
But we
talk revival, sir.
Yeah,
talk
but
revival.
we're looking for. I mean, we're gonna.
Dr. Bryant is tomorrow night.
Also, he's tomorrow night. He's here from today. We just wanted to make sure that he's here and he's comfortable. And what got me is that the first thing when I met Dr. Bryant today is humility, because dealing in this gospel and this dispensation of gospel singers and this dispensation of preachers is almost that we hold these fellas into almost like a iconalistic view. And Dr. Bryant is someone who is humble, who is down to earth, and he is going to preach the roof off. And so we're asking everyone in the Bahamas who is here, who's listening to 93.9, the fastest growing and the radio show in the Bahamas. We're asking everyone to come. We start tonight, and we're going to ask everyone to be there. Service starts exactly at 7. I know there are going to be some parking issues, so we want persons to get there early. We want persons to get there from 6.
Parking in the back, though. People don't like to go in the back.
Yeah, people don't know, but we have the police there. We have security there.
I know that. Right.
So we have police with guns there who are part of the church.
That's police with Bibles.
No, exactly. So we want everyone to be a part of this awesome move of God. Tomorrow night we have Dr. Bryant, who is our speaker. Our psalmist for the night would be Miranda Curtis Willis. She will be the psalmist. Also, probably the greatest ensemble in the Bahamas, who is Bishop Denzel Roll and friends. And so we want everyone to come out and be a part of this. You don't want to miss this. This is going to be an awesome move of God.
We were together with Dr. Bryant and with my uncle. I call him uncle.
I was with you. You remember we was in Freeport? I came over.
I wasn't even meaning that one.
Oh,
I wasn't even talking about that one.
Yeah, because I was.
We went Freeport together.
Me and you was in Freeport.
That is
because
right.
That's when they was by the hotel. They was by the Lucayan Hotel.
And they didn't have a kick pedal.
And they didn't have a kick pedal. You remember?
For the drums.
When they didn't have a kick pedal for the drums.
He wouldn't remember that.
Yeah, he wouldn't know. That ain't a part of his portfolio.
No,
that ain't his word. Just find it.
Yeah.
You just make sure you find it.
Yeah. We didn't. Yeah. That we sang at that session that you did. We sang the Saturday morning
Wow.
at the session you had. That was,
That's about 7 years.
shoot, more than that.
8.
I was,
8
I was a
years?
pastor yet.
Oh, really?
No, I was a pastor yet.
Wow, so that's
Yeah.
about 9,
Yeah, 8 to 9 years ago.
8 to 9
8
years
to 9
ago.
years ago.
Wow.
When that happened, we were there. You played for me.
Yeah, I played there.
Yeah.
I was there. I was
Yeah,
there.
that's right.
And so I came there, and I
Yeah.
remember it. That's when he said that when he was introducing some young preachers, and he said that the young preachers like a roll of film. All they need is exposure.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I remember
But that dude who preached that morning,
Daryl Hill
Oh, he was on it.
that dude preached up something.
from
man.
Brooklyn, New York.
I loved it because we were staying. He was in the room next door. I said he looked like a preacher. He looked like a preacher, and he was leaving the hotel, and he took the Gideon Bible out of the hotel. I said, "This is a real preacher." Here. Dude even didn't bring a Bible. He took the Gideon out of the
Ready
hotel
to
room,
go.
and he preached sweatless victory. I think he preached
Yeah.
that morning. Oh, we worked that. He was on TV for a bit too.
Yeah.
How's he doing? Y'all still
He's doing
connected?
great. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man, he preached that day. But I remember we were down at Jubilee 3 years ago with Dr. Bryant, and he tried to keep up with us with the hymns. He did an okay job. He did an okay
Listen.
job with those hymns last
Listen,
time.
y'all keep forgetting I'm AME.
Right.
I can pull a hymn out.
We gonna shake him tomorrow night though. We
All
gonna
right.
shake him. We gonna shake him tomorrow night. We gonna do some Church of God hymns tonight.
Oh, but you have to. Why you
We can do some church. I mean, some deep Church of God hymns. We going deep in the book.
Bishop, that's like we invite Lawrence Roll and he come to sing worship songs. We he
I'm
come to
dead.
sing. So we want you, we want you to bring back the hymns.
Yeah,
man.
we going deep in hymns tomorrow night.
Yeah, no.
Tonight is going to be amazing. And you know what, Devad? We need to do something to on this island to bring. We have many gifts. You know, we had a session the other day with Bishop Ellis that was just amazing for young pastors. To bring Dr. Jamal in for candid sessions like this.
Yeah.
That we could bring him in to do something to bring, because there's so many, I can't call them all off, and please forgive me, there's so many pastors. Cleo Williams is on here as well, from Life Changers. So many others are on here, great men and women of God here in the country, and are loving his perspective. And loving what
And
you're
my
bringing
phone
to
is
the table.
getting hit up now. I've
Yeah.
already had 3 different pastors asking me for his contact while he's here. But no, we already signed for those who we already signed a contract. He only preaching for us for the next 5 years, so we don't.
That's contingent on.
On what
It depends on what happens in March.
But no, we're asking everyone to be here. We have like I said, an awesome lineup for everyone.
Yeah.
We have a surprise guest artist for Sunday night who we would probably ask to announce live on radio
Not a problem.
for Friday.
Not a problem.
And so we want everyone to just be here, man. Just don't miss it. Church of God Convention Center, 7 p.m. William Johnson Auditorium.
Yeah.
You'll be there. Do not miss it. Big up to my committee who was with me from the start. They know we've been planning this for a few months now. Thanks to our Bishop.
Oh, Peter,